Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price has continued on that small rejection after we hit 63,000 US dollars. But right now we're finding some short-term supports along 60,000 US dollars, but we've just seen a bearish cross in the 4-hour MACD. And right now the Bitcoin funding rates across all of these exchanges are more positive than normal, which means it's more expensive to enter a long position right now. I'll also be taking another quick look at the Bitcoin order books later in the video as well, so make sure you're watching all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to drop a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on so that you're not missing out on any of these future updates. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get straight into what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame. And yeah, straight away, we can see that we did end up seeing a little bit more of a rejection from that $63,000 resistance level as expected. And looking in the price oscillators here on the 4-hour time frame, the RSI, first of all, has seen a little bit of a rejection after we entered these overbought areas, and the MACD has just seen a bearish cross on the 4-hour time frame. So what does this actually mean for Bitcoin? Well, let's take a look at the last 2 times that this happened, because this has happened a couple times just recently. For example, back here around 10 days ago, we saw a bullish move right into this line of resistance, and at that stage the RSI was overbought, showing us that we are due for a little bit of a short-term cool-off, and also the 4-hour MACD did see a bearish cross. But in that case, the short-term cool-off was just a sideways consolidation, sideways price action. So what I mean by a short-term cool-off is basically a pause in the uptrend. So that's either sideways price action or perhaps a slight move to the downside, like what we saw here, for example. Right when Bitcoin was hitting into this range of resistance, the RSI was pretty much at overbought territory. And then we started getting a bit of a rejection here in the RSI. We started heading to the downside. The 4-hour MACD at that time also saw another bearish cross, and that just basically signaled a small pullback in the Bitcoin price before continued upside price action later on. And by the way, that short-term pullback was honestly nothing major. From top to bottom, that only lasted just over a day, and it was only a 7% pullback. And after hitting 63,000 US dollars, technically speaking, we already have been in a little bit of a short-term cool-off for around a day and a half. But for as long as these price oscillators are heading to the downside, I would expect that to continue perhaps over the next few days or so before we regather that bullish momentum like what we did last time, and then we go for the first major attempt of breaking above the all-time high. So even though I mentioned, a couple of these short-term bearish signs, I'm certainly not bearish on the current trend on Bitcoin, not by any means. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin's trend. Clearly, we are in a strong uptrend. All I'm saying is before we can break above the all-time high, perhaps expect a little bit more of a short-term cool-off, which, as I said earlier, is pretty much a pause in the uptrend. So that can either be sideways consolidation or perhaps a slight pullback to the downside. But with that being said, right now we are finding some support along 60,000 US dollars, which is great to see, because just before we got above 60,000, that was providing a little bit of psychological resistance only for a short amount of time. Zooming into the 1-hour chart, you can see this more clearly. As you can see back here, we found a little bit of resistance along 60,000 before then breaking to the upside. And really, other than the fact that 60,000 is just a big round number, there was no other reason why we should find resistance along that level. So that's why it's called psychological resistance, just because a lot of people see 60,000 US dollars as a major milestone for Bitcoin. But yeah, if I put a horizontal line right here at around 60,000 US dollars approximately, what you can see is obviously we had that rejection first time round, but now Bitcoin is above 60,000 US dollars. We've actually used it as support twice. So in the immediate short term, that is the first major level of support for Bitcoin. Anything lower than 60,000, if we start getting into the high $50,000 price range, then the next major support for Bitcoin is coming in between 57 and 58,000 US dollars. And by the way, with this short-term cool-off that we are potentially in right now, I'm considering adding a little bit more into long positions. But for the beginners out there, that can come with risk, considering the fact that we're still below this huge resistance, which is basically between 63,000 and 65,000, which is the all-time high. So what I've also done is put some conditional orders just above the all-time high. So when we do see the break above the all-time high, even if it's in the middle of the night, I'm still catching that next major move to the upside. And if you're on the channel around 2 weeks ago, all the way back here when Bitcoin was at around 45,000 US dollars, that's exactly what I was saying on the channel back then. I said to wait for the breakout to the upside, and then the moment we see the breakout, that is when to flip bullish, and simply just placing some conditional orders above that point of resistance to enter into a long position. Obviously, that strategy has worked out very well so far. And so basically, I'm going to continue using that strategy. If we can see a strong break above the all-time high, that will automatically trigger even more long positions for myself. And obviously, that's not financial advice. That's just giving you an inside look of my Bitcoin strategy at the moment in the shorter term. And in regards to my longer term Bitcoin strategy, right now, I'm simply hodling all of the Bitcoin that I was accumulating down here at around 40,000 $60,000 US dollars, and a lot of that Bitcoin that I was telling you guys to buy at around $30,000 US dollars. And to be honest, when it comes to my long-term Bitcoin holdings, I'm not really thinking about selling much of that Bitcoin below $100,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, if any. And I'll keep you guys updated on my longer-term Bitcoin strategy. And if you like, I can make an updated video about a potential exit strategy for later on in the bull market. So let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to make some sort of exit strategy video. And if you want to know some other important areas of support and also my next major price targets to the upside, if we can finally get above the all-time high, definitely go on my channel and take a look at my Bitcoin video that I posted yesterday, because in that video, I went into much more detail about all of my Bitcoin price targets. But for the subscribers out there that have already seen that video, I'm going to keep this one quick for you and get into the brand new content, which is of course talking about the Bitcoin funding rates. I haven't talked about these for quite a while on the channel because for quite a while, they weren't really doing that much. But at the moment, they are definitely more positive than normal. Normally, they're sitting at around 0.01%. And the moment those funding rates start getting more positive than that 0.01%, that's how you know that more and more people are starting to enter into long positions, which makes it more expensive to maintain that long position. And in a bearish trend, if more and more people are entering short positions, it's doing the exact opposite. It's dragging these funding rates to the downside and potentially into negative funding rates. And for the brand new viewers on the channel, I'll quickly explain what these funding rates actually mean for Bitcoin. Basically, if the funding rate is positive, that means the people that are in long positions have to pay that funding rate to the short positions. Usually every 8 hours, that funding rate is charged, and it's kind of like an extra fee for the long positions if it's in positive territory. But in a much more bearish trend, when everyone wants to enter short positions, which will drag down these funding rates into negative territory, that's the exact opposite. That means the short positions have to pay that extra fee, the funding rate fee, to the long positions. So this is just a mechanism implemented by all of these exchanges to balance out the market during a major uptrend or a major downtrend. And it basically stops everyone piling into just one side. Because as I said, when everyone's piling onto one side, like long positions, for example, then it becomes much more expensive to even hold those long positions. But with that being said, even though these funding rates are right now more positive than they normally are, this is to be expected during a bull market, especially because we're close to the all-time high. There's obviously going to be a lot of people entering into long positions at this stage. And that's why I said earlier, it would actually be great to shake out a few of those long positions, because if we do that, then those are the type of people that will FOMO in at higher prices, which will give us more rocket fuel to the upside after we get above the all-time high. But in the past, these funding rates have been a lot higher than they are right now. So keep that in mind. We can go higher. There's still room to the upside, but I'm just keeping an eye on these funding rates at the moment because, like I said, the more positive they go, technically speaking, the more risk we have of potentially a bit of a pullback. And that goes hand in hand with the Bitcoin order books across all of these exchanges right here. And I'm only going to talk about this really quickly because, once again, I talked about it in much more detail in yesterday's Bitcoin update. But yeah, at the moment, we've clearly got a lot more sell orders to the upside, all the way up to the all-time high, compared to buy orders in the immediate short term, which basically just means there's a lot of resistance between the current prices pretty much and up towards the all-time high. But the majority of that resistance is between around 63,000 and 65,000, which is exactly where I've got this range of resistance mapped out at. And we've been expecting resistance at that range for quite a while now. So these Bitcoin order books simply back up my technical analysis. And yeah, you'll notice that once we get above the all-time high, these sell orders drop off quite a lot. So we do not have much resistance just on the other side of the all-time high. So once we get above the all-time high, I expect an explosion to the upside in the Bitcoin price, which is exactly why I said earlier that I have some conditional orders just above the all-time high to enter into long positions so I can catch the breakout of the all-time high without even being at my computer. And if you have no idea what a conditional order is or how to implement a conditional order into your strategy, I have a tutorial video linked in the description down below. It'll be the second link in the description, and that video will show you exactly how I trade Bitcoin, showing you how to enter a long position, a short position, set take profits, set stop losses, open conditional orders, all of that and more in that video. And by the way, that first link in the description is to the platform that I use to trade. That's the platform that I show in that tutorial video. And if you haven't already, make sure you're following me over on my Twitter for extra updates in the crypto markets throughout the day. And I sent out this tweet around half a day ago saying which will hit 100K first, Bitcoin or the cryptoworld channel. And I want to hear your answers in the comment section down below. Do you think Bitcoin will hit $100,000 first, or do you think this YouTube channel will hit 100,000 subscribers before Bitcoin? But anyway, if you enjoyed the video or got something valuable out of this video, make sure to drop a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this one. As always, I really do appreciate all of your support in the channel at the moment. I can't thank you guys enough. And before you click off, if you haven't already, make sure you're checking out one of these uploads. I've got that video that I was just talking about, that trading tutorial video. And I've also got another video down here showing exactly how I earn passive income every day in crypto with no work required. But anyway, that's really it, and I'm going to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.